The Adventures of
M.L. Elric, reporter.
Brought to you by Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic, the non-alcoholic hair tonic that contains lanolin. Wild Root Cream Oil. Again and again, the choice of men who put good grooming first.
You ass interrogator, try to bring around my face. It's gone.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Al?
Hey, kids. It's your old pal, ML Elric, candidate for president of Michigan State University, because I think today is the deadline for the current president to resign, although maybe it's not, because maybe the people who we thought want him to resign don't want him to resign, but I'm not really sure. But before the end of the show, we hope to have that mess sorted out. And to help us do that, we've assembled some of the finest minds in southeastern Michigan, Mike and Brian, who are sitting in as guests. And hopefully they're going to offset the usual gang of idiots who are here, which starts with... I don't know. It's kind of a tie for first. Let's go with Shawn Windsor.
You couldn't do that to Mark.
Then there's Mark Fellhauer. And I was going to throw Tresa in there, Tresa Baldas, who's my colleague at the Detroit Free Press. She's a senior reporter at the Detroit Free Press because she's been there a tremendously long time. She's actually quite aged, but she's here to share some of her wisdom and experience with us. So we're grateful.
Just
for her
your colleague?
presence. She's just my colleague.
Yeah.
I'm a professional.
Your colleague in life?
I don't know that she deserves that. She doesn't want to be an accomplice on that misbegotten journey. But we are married. I should probably disclose that, I guess.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so there you go. So before we get into our discussion, Shawn wanted to tell us something about Belvin.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, sorry. Sorry, Mark.
Why are you apologizing to me? What did I do?
Because I know you like the Belvin stories.
Oh.
Are you okay, by the way? You're flitting over there.
I am? No, I'm just working.
Yeah? Doing your thing?
Checking levels, all that fun stuff.
Well, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but there's soon to be a fourth show on the Red Shovel Network, the Belvin and Charlotte podcast.
Okay. She won't do it. But
she won't do
okay,
it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She won't even do podcasts. Did you know my daughter does podcasts with me?
Yeah.
For Shits and Giggles. She named it Shits and Giggles.
I was going to say.
She got a potty mouth for an 8-year-old.
Yeah, she got a better compensation package than we do. It's all shit, no giggles here.
That's awesome.
Okay, what are we doing?
Sean wanted to get us going.
I had a.
He's thrown you the ball like 3 times.
No, but I wanted to include you.
Thank you.
I feel like Cade McNamara.
We don't include you enough. You know what I mean?
Okay, what does that mean? Is that just your only way of taking a shot at?
No, I'm throwing the ball, but it ain't going anywhere. Come on, let's go.
Well, I mean, Big Ten champion last year.
That's why he's not starting.
Last year.
I guess
because they have
so
someone
good.
better. What's wrong with that?
Jake Rudock.
That's how life works.
Okay, I read that.
You know what? I feel really.
That's why competition sucks.
Of course, you feel bad.
I rarely feel bad for athletes in general
because they're not human beings to you.
No, they are human beings. I don't. Especially professional athletes. I think that's just the deal when you get paid a lot of money in that. I think you understand that. College is a little different. I felt really bad for McNamara because he's trying really hard. He's okay. The guy behind him is just a hell of a lot better, and he's proved it. Cade
McNamara has done something I thought I would never see happen, which is he makes Jim Harbaugh look like he knows what he's doing at Michigan.
You never thought you'd see that.
I never thought I'd see that. There's been no evidence to date of that whatsoever.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of football, how about that, Mark?
Please.
Okay.
I don't want to argue with him.
No, we don't need to argue. Just real quickly, I assume you know the Lions opened their season. They lost 38-35 to Philadelphia Eagles. They scored that many points once last year, and they did it against the Green Bay Packers, who sat their starters at the end of the season, right? If they're preparing for the playoffs. So I wrote in my column that fact that they set their starters, and then transitioning back to the game Sunday, I was making a little joke, and I wrote, and this listener to this podcast, I assume, I'm hoping you guys can help me figure this out here, quoted my column back to me, and let me read this quick 2 sentences.
Did they refer to you as Shawn Windsor in the email? Because if they did, they listened to the podcast.
Yeah, they did. No. Okay. So here's what I wrote, what he sent me. He's quoting me. Philadelphia didn't sit its starters, as far as I know. Starters that made up one of the better defenses in the NFL a year ago. So he quotes me that. Then he writes to me, as far as you know, does the free press mean you work for free? Why not take the time to check the Eagles lineup from last season? Are you so busy? So he clearly didn't get the sarcasm, right?
Yeah.
In the column. Then he goes on to say, the fact that your podcast is unprofessional, and so at this point, I'm not sure which one he's talking about.
I'm pretty sure I know which one he's
this
talking
one.
about, but I'm a gentleman, so.
And then he says, and this is the giveaway, as are your sloppy clothes, because there's no camera with the Free Press podcast.
Yeah.
So he can't see me.
Unless he's sitting on your expansive property in Ann Arbor and
With a pair of
watching
binoculars?
you as you shower.
In my little cement hovel. So he says, the fact that your podcast is
Perch
unprofessional,
on stallions.
as are your sloppy clothes. He actually wrote is. I'm changing the agreement there to make him look a little smarter. He says that does not bother me. I still listen, but please do your homework. You embarrass yourself.
Ooh.
So this is a sloppy,
How embarrassing.
unprofessional podcast. Not sloppy. This is an unprofessional podcast.
I like sloppy.
And I thought, okay, I'm in a hoodie that says the Soul of Detroit, so I'm pimping your line.
It's very fetching. In fact, soon we hope to reopen the merchandise store so everybody can be this sloppy. But technically this is a professional podcast because we're meagerly compensated, but we certainly would lose our eligibility if we were college athletes. Although I guess now we could be even more handsomely compensated with it.
But I just wanted to ask you, am I that slovenly dressed?
A little bit,
at least
but that's fine.
Relative to y'all?
Sure. I mean, you're not coming in a suit and a tie, but who gives a shit?
Or is it my posture?
I don't know.
I sit like a question mark. Is that the problem?
It doesn't bother me one bit, so I don't care. Ask I'll be sexist. Ask the female in the room.
I was going to say he's clean shaven.
Well, that's rare.
Yeah.
I mean, I shave for the listener here.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that you have the demeanor of a recently rehabilitated homeless man. I mean, kind
A
of.
little bit. That's what makes him so endearing, though.
Yeah.
So there you go. Somebody
does it hurt your feelings at all?
No. I mean, what? Somebody that doesn't understand a little. Sorry, mister. I'm not going to mention your name. I don't want to call you out that way.
Isn't it hard to write?
I appreciate you that you still listen and read, by the way.
Okay, there's 3 writers in here. Is it hard to write sarcasm?
Apparently.
I guess so.
Belvin at Gmail didn't get it.
No, he didn't. No. Oh, yeah, it's very hard to write sarcasm.
I don't get to. I call the courts.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
true.
Be sarcastic, although I try.
You do. I mean,
Well, I wrote this week. It was a fairly serious column, but I included a joke about how our libel lawyer also represents Dr. Dre, and he's also another, famous person like me who does fat rhymes and dope beats, or is it dope beats or fat rhymes and whatever?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if anybody's going to really get that, but I figured
No
if they haven't fired me
one
yet,
got
I can
it.
pretty much do whatever
Surprised
I
they
want.
didn't edit it out.
I think most people probably get the little phrase, as far as I know, that they understand I was kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
As far as I know.
Well, what you did was you got early Lions season reaction, which basically means the fact that they lost a close game means they could go 16-1. And so how dare you talk about the Lions? Within a couple weeks, that same person is going to be saying, fire Dan Campbell, make the Hamp Ford family, sell the team, blah, 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 blah,
The best
blah.
line I saw was of Facebook, somebody from the Free Press account that wrote, you can't spell delusional without lions.
Oh, that's good. That's
really?
solid.
I thought that was good.
I was reading responses to your column you wrote about
Which one? Cade?
No, about the patsies that get scheduled in college football.
Oh, yeah.
So I was reading those responses, and what cracked me up about it is people were all over you about these schools get paid money. They're paying them money. And I'm like, he wrote that like 5 times in the story. So I assume people will just read a paragraph or worse, just the headline, which you guys don't write, and then jump all over you.
Well, among those responses was an email sent directly to me from a guy who said, you only mention the fact that other schools do this once.
Huh?
Yeah. Like Michigan's not clearly not the only school that schedules these games, right? Everybody does. And I wrote that in the column.
Yeah.
He was pissed that I didn't do it. Like, I think Mike was making a
Yeah,
joke
we talked
about that.
Mitch
last
Albman's
week.
the only guy who says the same thing 5 times. Now, like Mitch, Shawn has an orphanage, but it's in Chelsea, and some people have confused it with a bunny ranch.
Well, it's actually part of the Jiffy Mix factory out there.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
Yeah,
I thought
so,
you were going to bring us some.
Oh, they grind the corn. We make the cornmeal. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Paying
So
a couple of bucks an hour.
So you can bring us some those famous Windsor polenta cakes.
You think Jiffy is polite? Well, no, I prefer Jiffy.
Would you get those
Sweet.
from Gordon Food Services as well?
I love Shawn Windsor food tangents.
I like that column, by the way.
Which one?
Go ahead
One
and
about
get on that mic a little more if you
Yeah,
can.
right. Okay. Ooh, somebody can't hear me. That's a first. But
That is
no,
true.
I like the column about why these big schools play these little schools. It's you go to these games, it's a blowout. It's not. And the fact that they make money, it's
Late stage capitalism.
I don't like it.
As Mark would say.
The Akron game at Michigan State was, it was fun. I was glad to be there, but they shouldn't be playing a big school like that. I mean, if they want to, great, but it's you're paying all this money to watch one big team blow out another one.
We don't allow that in any other sport, any other level of sport in our society, really. I mean, we separate high schools out for that very reason, right?
Right.
We don't do it in the pros. I mean, we do it, but for some reason we do it with college football.
Well, I mean, the Yankees are going to play the Tigers, which is the equivalent of the Spartans playing the Akron Zips, but they only have so many teams. I mean, the difference is college football, you have 120 teams to pick from. How'd you pick Akron,
Right. No, for sure.
You could have picked Georgia Southern, who took Scott Frost out in Nebraska.
Or Marshall.
Or Appalachian State.
Oh my God, what a great weekend this was for upsets. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
And Appalachian State, you love hearing that name because it takes you back to when they
beat Michigan.
Yeah.
And you still have
I thought that was Toledo.
excitement from that, don't you?
I was at my parents' house when Notre Dame was losing, and I was thoroughly enjoying it as a Michigan guy. And my mom's like, "Why?" I'm like, they're all assholes." It's just kind of my response. I'm like, just like Spartans are all. I was just loving it. And my mom goes, "So are Michigan fans." And I just went, "I know, but I'm one of them." And that's how.
Your mom didn't know you went to Michigan?
No, oh, she hates that I went to Michigan. But the whole thing is just.
When did you tell her? Just last week?
What, that I went there?
Yeah.
No, she knows. Okay. Believe me, she tells me all the time.
So that
Sorry,
new,
Mike, I know
wish
it's
you
your
didn't
show.
go there.
No, that new Notre Dame coach, I couldn't help but notice, is now 0-3. That's pretty bad because he lost that bowl game where they were doing great and they blew it.
But he gave a great speech and it went viral.
Exactly. Great guy, great recruiter. Hired him because they were flipped out because Brian Kelly left.
Let's see if he can do better than Scott Frost.
So does this mean that Ohio State's not that good because Notre Dame put a scare
No, Ohio
in
State's
Ohio
really
State
good.
at the shoe?
They'll
means
beat
nothing.
Sparty.
Okay. Oh, I
beat
think
everybody.
I think they're going to run the table.
I don't know that they'll
Big
beat Michigan. We'll see.
They're playing in Columbus, right?
They'll beat 'em.
They're due. It's been 20 years.
And Cade McNamara won't be quarterback, so I don't know what chance Michigan has.
Okay. You say so.
So we brought Tresa.
That was
on.
not in the rundown.
I know it's in my version.
No, fun never is.
It's my copy.
Yes, sir. Yes,
can't
boss.
spell-
Okay, let's get to the serious show now.
He's thinking of a joke.
You
Hang
can't
on.
spell rundown without
Yeah, he is thinking of it.
frun. So you can't spell frun down without frun.
Teresa, help him out. He's
So,
trying
yeah.
to-
I can't. There's no help.
So
Does he do this at home?
Teresa has some correspondence.
Wait,
to share
time
with
out,
us.
time out.
Yeah.
Does he do this at home if you're talking to him? Does
Time
he-
out from the game. You sound like the water boy.
Interruptions, you mean?
Well, I'm just thinking of a joke that takes a long time to get to.
His stories take a long time some to get to. And I know he's going to laugh because that's the pot calling the kettle black. But he'll tell me something, and I'm like, okay, wrap it up. I've got things, and he's going on and on and on.
You tell him to wrap it up, or you?
No,
thinking
I don't.
that?
I think it.
Okay.
But oops, my headset's falling.
But you're telling him here now, so he's learning something.
That's right.
He wrote ML, and I don't know why I'm using he when you're sitting across from me. You wrote a really, really good column, and I printed it out to read it, and my first thought was, Jesus Christ, 9 pages. What a long story.
What size font did you use?
Well, no, look. I mean, this is it.
Okay, that's
And it was a really
that's
good story.
9-point font.
So I read the whole thing. I get to the end, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I would have taken out of it. So
Yeah.
I imagine it was probably 90 pages when you turned it into the editors.
No,
Did you help him edit? Do you help him edit?
They
I'll
didn't
read
stop
'em.
the Bible after the 10 Commandments, Mark.
Fair enough. Fair point.
No, but I think
And Mark and Mike and Brian know because they
Catholic.
they
A lot of
send their
Catholics
kids to
down here.
Catholic school.
But
so
to Mark's
let's hear it
question-
for it's our Guardian
trying.
Angels, right?
Yeah, I will try.
They never played St. Clair, so we can cheer for Guardian.
In
But to
Clawson,
Mark-
Michigan.
To Mark's point, Teresa, though, to his question, actually, does he do this at home? What if you're having a serious conversation? You're talking about, say, bills or the mortgage, or when your kids are younger and how to discipline them in some ways. Do the jokes come out in the middle of those conversations?
No, he's serious. He can definitely be serious.
Okay, because that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's very serious when you guys would fight and yell at each other. Those were the best.
I don't remember that. I've expunged
those are
that.
so
from-
I
great.
do.
I've expunged that. From
It's the only reason.
I thought that was off mic.
It's the only reason I want
I
ML.
thought the worst of that was off mic.
I don't really ever want you to run for public office again, except that you guys will fight.
It was so
Wait a
bad.
second. I thought that was off mic. And all
It was so bad that Mike Bellata left each of us with a business card in case we needed representation.
Wasn't that off mic?
No, it was in front of ML's mom.
That
That was not on the. That
was
was not
we
on
had
mic.
we had a blowout with Bellata. We had my mom said that's why she doesn't contribute to the show anymore because she doesn't want to support Shawn Windsor and his potty mouth.
But that was not on camera
Plus
on
her
the mic
Social
when your
Security
mom was
got
here.
adjusted.
The intent. No, a lot of it was the intense stuff.
No,
was
when
off.
we
I wish
when
it
we
wasn't.
actually that's the one time we got actually frustrated with each other, really frustrated. That was not recorded.
No, but that kind of ended like the jerk where Sean's like, I don't need any of you. Then he walks, but I do need my car keys. And he walks, I don't need any of you guys. He said, but I do need my chair. And he's, I don't need any of you guys, but I do need this thermos.
It did happen.
Or in the Mark Wahlberg movie where it was the Rockstar movie.
I never saw that.
Rockstar.
He quit.
Rockstar,
Remember,
yeah.
he quit the band. And he comes back in. That mic is mine. I'm taking that.
Yeah,
Mic.
yeah. That's a great movie.
Oh, that scarf, that headscarf is mine. Yeah.
Sounds like Shawn Michaels. Who's the rock star who always wears
Here we go.
the headscarf?
I know. Let's move along.
Brett Michaels.
Brett Michaels, yes.
EDD.
You'll never hear him on Room 769.
This is my
'cause he
fault,
sucks.
Teresa, actually.
So no, I
Normally
said,
I'm
Teresa, I
quiet.
thought you had an email to share with us, and then Mark referenced some very fine journalism.
You want me to share that email now?
Yeah.
Okay. So keep in mind, I cover the courts and I cover a lot of controversial issues, but whenever I write about issues of race or immigration, the Black Lives Matter movement, the haters come out big time. And I recently wrote this story about...
Feels like a long story.
All right, I'll go faster. USA Today version. Black woman casino winner wins a jackpot at a casino.
For how much?
It was over $12,000. And she goes to a bank in Livonia to open an account and deposit it. And when she goes there, she says three different tellers all told her the check was fraudulent and took it from her and wouldn't give it back. It was a pretty rough day for her. Long story short, she leaves the bank upset, demands they give it back to her. She goes down to a nearby Chase Bank. They let her open an account. She deposits it. The check clears the following day. Anyway, she's now suing the bank for race discrimination.
God, I wish the tellers who were letting bad checks in my name go through were that tough.
Can I ask a couple questions about that?
Yeah, you
so,
can.
So she didn't have an account at the bank.
She did not.
Is that one of the reasons it was flagged, or they thought it might have been fraudulent because they like you to bank where you have an account?
Right,
general.
but she wasn't asking to cash it. She said,
she wanted to deposit
She
it.
wanted to deposit it. She went and said, I want to open an account so I can deposit my this check.
Yeah, well,
and they
that's-
looked at it, and she said the first person told her this is fraudulent. She said, what? Then they bring in a second bank employee.
Why did they think it was fraudulent?
They didn't say, but I know
That's
on
weird.
what they didn't recognize the logo. They didn't recognize the
What, of the
font.
MGM Grand
Real-
Casino?
This was from Soaring Eagles
Eagle.
Casino.
Oh.
So they asked her for ID. They asked her where she worked. She said, I'm a retired Detroit Public Schools employee. She gave them their license. Her name and her license matched what was on the check.
Yeah.
Again, she wasn't asking them to cash it. She said, I want to open an account to deposit it. And a third bank teller gets called in, and the part that really angered her was they wouldn't give her the check back. And they kept telling her that it was fraudulent. So she said, how do you know it's fraudulent? And they wouldn't explain it. And then they took her into a manager's office, and that's when she's 71 years old.
Yeah.
She grew up during the Jim Crow era. She's seen racism before. She knows what it looks like. But at this point, she's like, give me my check back. She said, I'm going to call 911 or I will. Give me my check back. And after much back and forth, they finally gave her the check back.
Which is incredible because they can verify whether has anybody opened an account with like Venmo where they use Plaid to verify that your bank account is good?
Yeah.
Establishing that there are funds in an account, that something's legitimate, that's like one of the easiest things there is.
Does that mean you set up a Venmo account for the show that you're supposed to do months ago?
Talking to me or him?
ML.
I know. Let's go back to the bank
Jesus,
story because I want to
in the
give
middle
the
of a
bank's
fascinating
version.
story.
I'm
Mark.
sorry. Well, no, I had a lot of
I'm going
questions.
to jump
about
in
it.
here.
The answer is
and
no,
I'm
I
sure
have
you
not set
will.
up that account.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's racist. I just think it should have ended at, hey, if you're opening an account and you're depositing it, it either clears or it doesn't clear. Pretty simple.
I'm going to give the bank. So the bank didn't call me back for 4 days. I kept.
They
calling
put it on
them.
hold too, right? You deposit a check and they sit on it for a couple days.
That's what I mean.
and-
It's gotta clear.
There's a number of things they could have done, but the bank it took 4 days to get back to me, and I said, "Listen, you've got to say something. I know, the typical response is we don't comment on pending litigation." I said, "Listen, the story went viral. People were losing their minds." And so they came back to me, and their explanation is this: that they were trying to verify the authenticity of the check, and that she got frazzled and left. This is their story. So I asked, I said, "Well, did you tell her the check was fraudulent?" They wouldn't answer. In the lawsuit, they neither denied nor admitted that they told her the check was fraudulent, right? And I think that, and that's what her lawyer keeps getting back to. It's like, listen, they cannot get around this question. Why would you tell a woman your check is fraudulent? If they there's a number of ways they can handle this, and they didn't. And
the lawsuit is for racial discrimination?
It's she thinks they did it because she was black.
It's going to be, that'll be a very hard thing to prove that they decided the check was fraudulent because of the color of the person's skin, as opposed to
they
what
denied
the check looked like.
The argument is going to be they wouldn't they wouldn't let her bank there, that they mistreated her, that they was it race motivated? That's a hurdle that perhaps they won't be able to get over. But here's what's interesting: you couldn't bring this lawsuit in Mississippi. Or in many other states. Michigan has a unique law that says it's illegal to discriminate against someone based on their race in any public area. So any place the public goes, a bank, the public goes there, you can't you can't discriminate against someone. Our federal laws don't say that. They have employment laws that say you can't fire or hire or mistreat someone at work based on race, age, gender, a number of things, but it does not address this particular issue, and most states don't have this law in the books either. So this can happen. Somebody can mistreat a black person, a gay person, a woman, an old person in public places in other states, and then it's legal.
Where was the Chase Bank where she had some success?
In Livonia.
Also in Livonia?
Also in Livonia. And I wrote another case about this 2 years ago. This is crazy. This is irony. A black man won a race discrimination lawsuit against his employer, and they gave him his settlement check. And he goes to the bank to cash his settlement check from an employment lawsuit, and they wouldn't cash the check for him. He got to the point, he's like, this doesn't look legitimate. He had an account there. He calls his lawyer, Deb Gordon, and gets her on the phone. She said, "Please call the bank." And she said, "This is my client. This is a legitimate employment lawsuit discrimination." And they wouldn't catch. She said, "Fine." She hung up. She sued him. And
Did he win that one
the
too?
case settled confidentially.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what I call compounding with interest.
So
But they're going to have trouble with this too, because I think most banks have video that runs at the teller booths. So this issue of who said what and what their demeanor was, I'm sure they've already subpoenaed.
But do they
all
have
of
microphones,
video.
or is it just video?
Yeah, no, I think they do. Yeah, I think they do.
It's not. So it's not just silent security cameras.
No, I
The
think
bank? No, I doubt
I
it.
think they record those transactions.
Well, there you go.
And they also the bank has said we have video and of our employees calling the casino to verify the check. I said that fair enough. I said, but did you tell her it was fraudulent? That's the question. Why would you tell a woman your check is fraudulent if you don't know?
So what's the email?
Yeah, what was the response you got from it?
Yes, I thought I had the long story.
You get a lot of emails, but here's and this is a
That story was interesting, Emil.
Thank you.
Your mom was right. You're
All
a
right.
disgrace
I'm
to the
gonna-
Fellhauers of Columbus, Ohio.
Disclaimer, this has some swearing in it. And I get this email. Well, guess what, you race stirring pot bitch, all caps. I am white, all caps. And the same thing happened to me. And I've been dealing with that bank for a very long time. There is definitely more to the story. Joey Biden Dick Sucker.
Okay.
And,
That's his name?
That's what he called me.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, boy, that's a tough name to give a kid.
And I usually don't share my emails, but that one I rolled my eyes.
My follow-up is I'd love to know if that person emailed you after your Wayne County Airport story about reverse discrimination, and if he felt that was discrimination.
I sent him that story.
Oh, you did?
I did. My standard response to most people, whether you give me a good email or a bad email, is thanks for taking time to read the Free Press, and thanks for reaching out.
Yeah.
I do the same.
And just a common courtesy. I may add a few extras. I try not to get nasty sometimes. I rarely ever do, but sometimes I just can't help myself.
I used to say
Just
thanks
escalate.
for
And then I
having
say,
somebody read
perhaps
the
this
free
story
press
may
to you.
interest you. And then I send them a link to the story about.
Yeah, the woman who was fired worked for Wayne County Airport.
Right.
Because it's a reverse discrimination lawsuit. She alleges because she was white.
Right.
And it seems that there's a lot of evidence to that point. She's going to have to prove it in court.
Yeah, I mean, she claims that that the airport is going so the airport is so hell bent on making sure that their employers are largely African American that they're discriminating against white people in the process, and they're also making it difficult for white people to discipline black employees because they want to keep black employees so badly. I'm not saying this, by the way. This is in the lawsuit.
Yeah.
And so she called for the termination of two black women at the airport who she said, listen, I've read they're not coming to work. They're not showing up. When they are, it's late. They're not doing their job. I think they need to be fired. And then she was fired. And she thinks it's because she said bad things about black people she worked with. And she said, I'm not the only one here. A lot of white people
There was another accusation in the story, and I guess presumably in the lawsuit, about Dennis Archer Jr., who's on the board
Oh, yeah.
for Wayne County Airport.
Yes.
That was his first question when somebody was hired, is it a brother?
Is it a brother?
Then he had a
Right.
really Janet Jackson quote.
Yeah. What have you done? The lawsuit quotes
Is
Dennis
that
Archer Jr. as being at a meeting when the board supposedly decided to make it a priority to have more blacks on staff.
Is that on record? Like, do they do minutes of there, or is that just what people are saying?
No,
he
they've
said?
got recordings of
Okay,
this.
That's what I was thinking.
And so when a new fire chief, I think, was hired, or a deputy fire
Yeah.
chief at the airport, and his first question was allegedly, is he a brother? And then he followed up with, like Janet Jackson says,
Yeah,
"What
well-
have you done for me lately?" Which doesn't really make sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
But whatever.
She didn't say it's Mr. Archer if you're nasty. That would have been really weird.
And just the term, by the way, reverse discrimination. I can't tell you how many emails I got for putting that in the story.
Oh, really?
Yes. White people very upset that there's no such thing as reverse discrimination. Discrimination is discrimination.
Okay.
So stop throwing the word reverse in there. And so, I had
Semantics, but
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
That matters to some people.
Yeah.
Right, Shawn?
Whatever you say, Mark.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Like what?
I don't know. I thought Teresa.
You just look sharp today.
I thought
Particularly
I thought those were
particularly
two
sharp.
really good stories,
Thank you.
and I hope ML told you that because I tell him
He did.
Okay.
He did.
I actually may have given her a tip on all this stuff, but the
Oh boy, if looks could
such-
kill. That was a great look from
He's just such.
Which story? Which one?
one of the stories, one of my sources contacted me. I said, I think this is a good story.
That's what makes you guys a great partnership.
Is it the? Oh yeah. You're right. He's right.
Well, he
you know
may
what?
be
You don't
right,
hear that a lot in
technically.
my
I was
house.
just say music to his
Here's
ears.
the thing. I write so many stories, I lose track. I forgot about the Wayne County Airport lawsuit. I almost forgot about the bank, the casino gambler lawsuit, because I've been bogged down covering the
Almost
Whitmer
forgot to
kidnap
put your phone
trial,
on silent.
the Crumbly trial. It's
Ding.
Busy. Okay, ding. Is my phone on silent?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's
Teresa,
you've got
he
a
may
few
be-
notifications.
Oh,
Former
look, it's our
broadcaster
kids. Tell Dad to stop being so mean. Oh,
Our adopted kids. Nothing wrong with adoption, but
You know what? Maybe he was right. Technically, there was a tip in there somewhere, but the fact that he wanted to say that on air, come on.
Oh, he's messing around. Are you? Are you messing around?
what's that?
I mean, he is and he isn't.
How did Teresa help you with the Wayne County judge story
Yeah.
Wayne County
that you
Judge.
wrote? The one story that you wrote.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
segue
No,
into
no,
what you
no,
want to talk
yeah.
about.
She helped me by doing an outstanding story a few years ago about how this horrible murder case that happened in downtown Detroit about 10 years ago was essentially going to be reopened because Judge Tracy Green, who I had exposed when I was at Fox 2 as being involved in the cover-up of child abuse involving her own grandsons, was going to give an evidentiary hearing to this guy who was convicted of murdering his girlfriend. And it was, if you have new evidence, you can convince a judge to give you an evidentiary hearing, which can lead to a new trial and all this stuff. Well, basically, this guy just had some lawyers who were running back some bullshit that hadn't worked the first time with a new expert, and Teresa wrote about it and about how it was re-traumatizing the parents of the young woman who was murdered. And I read the story. It's a very good story. It's actually quite long. But
9 pages.
2,500 words or something. But maybe 3,000. It was very long. But anyways, it was very good. It was a long story, well told. And I noticed that Tracy Green was the judge on this. And so when I wrote my column this weekend about Tracy Green being found to be a liar by other judges, which is a fairly extraordinary event, I went back and looked at some of the other cases she'd been involved in that also raised questions about her judgment that the Judicial Tenure Commission hadn't considered, such as what she did to this other family by letting this basically brutal rich murderer have another shot at this and putting his parents through the dead girl's parents through another trial 10 years after they had kind of tried to come to peace with it. And I also brought up...
That victim's name is Diana DeMeo.
When are we getting back to Teresa?
Well, I was asked to.
Yeah, that's all right.
He asked how I helped, and that's how.
He needed to. He read my story, and he needed to get in touch with
as far as you
the
know.
victim's mom.
As far as you know.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was.
But Tracy Green is no fan of yours.
She probably doesn't like me. I know her son really doesn't like me. He sued me and Fox 2. I think it's the only time in 30 years in journalism I've been a defendant in a lawsuit that wasn't dismissed like immediately or mentioned as like, oh, then maybe I'll get some kind of toss in. And Tracy Green was in the process of being investigated by the Judicial Tenure Commission, which looks at wrongdoing or potential wrongdoing by judges and tries to determine whether they are fit to continue to serve as judges, whether they should be disciplined, that sort of thing. And they were in the process of basically blowing her out when her son sued me and Fox. It was a frivolous lawsuit. The gist of it was, and this was also in the column, and we'll have a link to that column
And we've talked
on our
about
website.
this case.
Yeah, and we'll have a link to Teresa's stories on the website so we can get everybody excited who believes in discrimination, reverse discrimination, and whether there's a difference there or not. But Junior sued me for defamation of character for reporting that he was accused of child abuse, and he filed his lawsuit after he had been convicted of child abuse, and a judge threw it out immediately. It was deemed a nuisance lawsuit and all this other crap. But in the course of all this stuff that was going on, I was called to testify against his mother in the Judicial Tenure Commission hearings because the Judicial Tenure Commission was using a clip from the story I did at Fox 2 in which she denied putting makeup on her grandson's face to cover up child abuse. And this became a key point because she was playing games with the language and at some point had determined that the only way she might wriggle out from under the hammer was to say, no, I never said I didn't put makeup on their face. I just didn't put makeup on their face to cover up
Bruises.
Child abuse. And it's very uncomfortable for reporters when they are called to testify. I mean, Shawn, have you ever been in a situation, or Teresa, where somebody said, hey, we need you to be a witness or we need you to take the stand on something?
No, I just get people saying I'm an asshole and delusional and a fool. And
as far as they know.
Well, no, they're probably right. But no, that's about...
I got it.
Okay. Yeah. Fort Worth. What? No, sorry.
No, but what about with your writing?
Teresa, yeah. I mean, no, you've never written about something where somebody said, I mean, when you were a news reporter, you covered a lot of sensitive subjects where somebody said, well, I'm filing a lawsuit and I need you to...
But would never do it, right? It would just be a threat.
But I mean, has that ever happened to you?
I was never sued like you were.
No, I understand that, but
people just popping off. But that was about it.
So you've never had to consider whether you would take the witness stand.
Have you ever been deposed for, like, has your paper, wherever you were, been sued and they had to interview you? Or
No.
Wow.
No.
Teresa?
I haven't been deposed. I have gotten requests for people asking me for help in their lawsuits. I tell them I can't.
Yeah.
A couple of criminal cases where attorneys have reached out and tried to get information from me. And then I said, you know what, everything I know was in my story. I can't help you.
See, I think that would happen a lot where
Yeah.
people would reach out to reporters for info.
Oh, they do. They definitely. I get reached out to all the time.
And the answer is always no.
Right? Can you do this? Can you call this lawyer for me? Can you do? You always get asked for help. But I've been threatened. I mean, I've been threatened to be sued.
People do want to know how they can get tickets to games. So
Yeah.
I get that request.
I used to get that for concerts all the time. Like, let me know because I want to go to those shows too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, reporters don't like to testify, and I can recall a case 20 years ago where there's a reporter at the Free Press who was called to testify, and basically just to verify that what we had published was what was true, as if we're in the business of publishing stuff that's false. And he was getting legal advice from our lawyer saying, don't take service when the process server comes up. Don't take it. Hide in your garage. If you're hiding in your garage and they come to the garage, go out a window and run. And I mean, reporters will go to all sorts of lengths, not because we don't want to assist in the process of determining what's just, but because we don't want to be perceived as being on one side or the other. And so you say, as judges often say, that they'll say a court speaks through its orders. We say that our reporting speaks through what's published. And if there's something we didn't publish, we obviously didn't feel it was fit to share or wasn't confirmed. And so we don't want to go on the record in a courtroom if we weren't willing to go on the record in a newspaper. So when I was called to testify, my initial reaction is, hell no, but I wasn't a reporter at the time. I wasn't planning on going back to journalism. And so I consulted with the attorney on the case, defending me and Fox 2, who's one of the best First Amendment lawyers in the country. And he said, yeah, why not? So I said, okay. But I figured that if I was going to be a witness, depending on how it went, I would probably be more like a Ron Swanson type of witness.
Oh, this kind?
When it comes to government hearings, the only type of witness I enjoy being is a hostile one.
Now, I've heard you be a kind of a dick, believe it or not, a few times. Usually in a very lovable way. But you sent me this YouTube of is it deposition? Is that what you call it? Or
no, this was a hearing.
Oh, this was a hearing. Because of the
I was a
judicial
sworn
tenure.
witness, and it was a judicial hearing overseen by a judge.
You were so put out. You were such an asshole.
And we
you were right, but you were such an asshole about it.
And people can watch all of this. It's all on YouTube. If you go to the Michigan Judicial Tenure Commission page, while you're there, why don't you go to the ML Elric page and sign up for notifications so you know when we're going to go live. It's really easy and it really helps the show. But the lawyer was trying to get me to basically answer these farcical questions. And so it got very frustrating, I think, for both of us. But at some point, you're supposed to only answer yes or no during cross-examinations. But I found the questions required more than a yes or no answer. And,
here's a very simple example.
Would you like me to state the question again?
I'd like you to stick to the facts.
So that was things didn't go so well.
You were not happy to be there.
No, and the thing about it is
you have more, Mark?
Yeah, there's two other cuts.
Can we get to them?
So
get to the cuts.
So one of the issues was that once it got to the point where I wasn't going to cop to this notion that maybe she did put makeup on there because of whatever. I mean, I didn't know that. I could only speak to what she told me. He tried to turn the tables and say that the reason this whole story was about trying to put salacious content on television because I'm a scandal mongerer. And so we had a difference of opinion on that.
So the truth is that you never intended to share any of the information Judge Green gave you during this 3-hour interview because those things did not fit the salacious narrative that you wanted to air, correct?
It was not an interview.
Is that correct?
Your assertion is utterly false.
That's one of the more polite moments.
So I think that was a no, but we had a few clashes where he wanted yes or no questions, but he would ask questions that were sort of like, so you say you love your mother, but you're a liar. It's like, well, yes and no, but you can't ask compound questions and stuff like that. So he was a very crafty lawyer. I think he did a very good job for a client who was essentially indefensible. Yeah. But after we talked about, his client, he wanted me to try and raise some questions about whether my reporting was biased against his mother because her son had filed a lawsuit against me, but my reporting was published years before the lawsuit. And I think he may have also been trying to suggest that maybe I was being somewhat less cooperative on the witness stand out of spite for being sued, which was not the case. But that's another issue where we cross swords.
He has filed a lawsuit. I don't know if there's a dollar figure attached to it.
You're not aware of the amount of money that he's suing you and Fox 2 News for?
My understanding is in Michigan.
My question was, you're not aware of the amount?
I think I already answered your question.
So that was it. But his whole thing was, the lawsuit was for $10 million. And as Tresa knows from covering the loss,
nothing.
What happens is when you file, like Figer says, we sued somebody for $100 million. Yeah. What happens in the law is there's different levels of court. There's district court, which most people think of as small claims court. Then there's circuit court, which maybe you think of as superior court, whatever. If you watch Law and Order, it's Supreme Court in New York, which is stupid because there's something above the Supreme Court. Yeah, but at any rate, what happens is if you file a lawsuit for less than $25,000, it goes into district court, the small claims court. If you file for more than $25,000, it goes into circuit court, or it could go into federal court. But that's it. It just says you only have to be suing for more than $25,000, and it's a jury that ultimately decides how much the lawsuit is worth, and they'll do all kinds of... So the notion that somebody's suing you for $10 million doesn't... First of all, I don't think it said that in a lawsuit. Second of all, sue me for $1 billion. Yeah. It's a meaningless thing. It's simply there to try and generate headlines and heat and all this other bullshit. So I was just like, I don't know how much he's suing me for. I know he's a shitbag. And by the way, he's back in prison. So
the son.
So how do you like that?
How long? That's what I wanted to ask you to wrap it up. Like, how long is he in prison for abusing his kids?
He had been sentenced to 4 to 10 years for child abuse, felony child abuse, and he had gotten out during COVID on some sort of technicality or some sort of loophole. But while he was out, I'm led to believe that he did some jackassery that got him thrown back in the can. But this lawsuit got kicked immediately. In fact, lawsuits sometimes go before an evaluation panel, and there's 3 evaluators. One is supposed to be kind of defense friendly, one's supposed to be plaintiff friendly, and one's supposed to be kind of neutral. All 3 of them unanimously agreed that the value of the lawsuit was $0 and that it was frivolous. And when a judge had to rule on whether the case could go forward or not, he said that not only were the reports accurate, but this guy was such a turd that even if I'd made something up, I could not defame the character of somebody who was such an asshole.
Just want to know how long he was in prison.
Gives you kind of free reign, doesn't it?
4 to 10, sir.
I did get Mark.
As far as I know.
I want to tell this to Mark. Yeah, thank you. You've done that a few times. It's good. It's better each time.
Some people can just detect it better than others.
It's better each time. Yeah. I got threatened with a lawsuit one time because I wrote a restaurant review about a place called Bandito Burritos.
Wait a minute! 10 minutes ago you said
where
you'd never
were
but I said threatened, and
well, you could have brought this up then.
Bandito Burrito, and I think I wrote
emailer's right.
I wrote that the chicken was dry and disappointing or whatever. And they threatened to pull their advertising and sue me, and so the publisher made me meet with the owner of the restaurant and defend my review in a little meeting room right outside the newsroom.
Did you order chicken?
No.
Yeah, why'd you?
Can I jump in here
I said
for a
just
second?
use fucking thighs and you'll be fine.
Weren't you supposed to say alleged bandito? Isn't that what the problem was? It had never been adjudicated.
So this is a huge kudo to the Detroit Free Press and the USA Today Network. About 2 years ago, I did a big investigation on sexual assaults at Jamaican resorts. That the resorts there, American women were getting sexually assaulted, and they were covering it up and paying them off.
I believe, didn't you win an award for this story?
If Mike were telling it, you would have started off with that.
But anyway, so I get a cease and desist letter from Sandals Resorts, all right, threatening to sue me, to immediately stop writing these stories, and it came from their general counsel. Anyway, I took it to our attorneys, like, I got this, I'll handle this, and he responded. They made all kinds of threats. And the paper said absolutely. So even after that, we continued. We published 2 more investigations. and one of them largely focused on sandals because I had interviewed so many women from sandals that had problems. So I did not have to cave to any kind of pressure. No, in fact, it inspired me even more just to say, you know what, you can't silence me.
Well, I think the difference in those two stories is you said that Banditos was an advertiser.
Yeah.
Right?
So was sandals.
And
they were?
They were a huge advertiser.
Well,
in
through the
USA
USA
Today.
So they changed their advertising that says most of our guests won't be raped.
You know what I love about that story, what you just said, Teresa? You said we publish. You said we. You didn't start off with your award. I'm hoping that somebody here in this room has taken notes on just the humility and how you talk about an investigation you did that was really, really good.
Thank you. That was that.
I'm
What a
humiliated
passive
regularly.
aggressive douche.
He's
What a
not.
douchey thing to say.
He's not a douche.
How is
No,
that?
I know. I love him.
How is that a douchey thing to say? I'm just giving
Because you're
Mike
attacking
shit.
ML. You can just attack him.
How is that passive
I
aggressive?
wish why you
I'm
guys to
clearly, obviously
There
giving
There we
him
go.
shit.
That's all I'm looking for.
Can we have cut number 1 again?
No.
Please.
Stick to the facts, Shawn.
You could have it if I didn't close it already.
I think I answered your question already.
Yeah, there you go.
As far as I know.
Would you like me to state the question again?
I'd like you to stick to the facts.
As far as you know.
One last question about Tracy Green. What is the status of her?
So the
judge who...
and this is extraordinary too, because not only did the Judicial Tenure Commission and the special master, which is basically a judge who sits in on it,
Yeah, everyone knows what a special master is now.
not buy any of that stuff. She didn't. They called her a liar.
Really?
I mean, this is throughout their report. They're like liar, not believable, deceitful. I mean, they came down on her hard as a ton of bricks. So they've recommended to the Supreme Court that she be removed from the bench, and the Supreme Court will ultimately make the decision. And this is where
Slow down.
This is where the world is different for you and I, and for people in the legal profession.
Oh, let me guess. She's still getting paid?
She is, but she's not hearing cases. But you and I get in trouble with the law, and we go to court, and a judge or a jury hears the case, and we're convicted.
Or you duck into a driveway and hope the cops drive by.
That's true. No charge was ever brought. But if a judge gets in trouble, here's what happens. A panel of lawyers investigates. First of all, a panel of lawyers has to allow lawyers to investigate the judge. Then the judge has her case heard by a retired judge. Then the lawyers who investigate the judge write a report based on what the judge who investigated the judge says. Then they go to a panel of lawyers and judges to say, here's what we think should happen. Then the panel of lawyers and judges decide what they think should happen. Then they send it to the Supreme Court to decide what should happen. So basically, if you're a lawyer or a judge who's in trouble, every frigging lawyer in the state of Michigan has to agree that you're a complete bag of shit before they'll do anything. And it doesn't that seem ridiculous?
Yeah, but you know why? Because it could be them.
It's
right?
the drunk
They make-
driver
they make
jury
the rules.
problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
It
judging
could
the judges.
be me.
I run into this all the time. Nobody will say anything bad about a judge.
Yeah.
Even during this Whitmer kidnap case, I mean, the defense was furious with the judge. I mean, but they couldn't say it because he could rule against them. They still can. I mean, I did see them go off a couple times in court. And they told him, "Listen, you're not being fair to us.
Yeah.
You called our arguments crap."
Well, he told them to hurry up, too, which is kind of
Judges
odd.
do that, though. I will say that. I hear it all the time. Like, I never heard as much as I did in this trial. Move along, move along, move along.
Usually you're saying that at home.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel for the judge. Move it faster.
Wrap it up, Casanova.
But anyway, to what my I'm slow to the punch on that. But yeah, no, nobody wants to judge judges.
I'm sorry.
Hard out. Okay,
that's good.
Ew.
Too. Oh yeah,
Ew.
I like the
don't think
delayed.
that's-
I like the delayed response
think
here.
I'm gonna go shopping now.
Just tell Mike that the word "then" is not his friend, and you're good.
Don't try and turn this into a salacious narrative.
Or first of all,
Was that a cue to move on? Because before we do, I need to tell you about a few people.
Yes, please. We should have told you about them a long time ago, except they're pleased not to be in any proximity to what just happened.
Yeah, let's start with Luke Nowacki. He's our buddy over there at Pinnacle Wealth, and he can, give you a complimentary consultation to tell you if you're in the right investments. Do you want to be in equities? Do you want to be in bonds? What is going on with this market? You got to have a plan with your finances. Let your money make money for you. That's Luke Nowacki. Once again, it's a complimentary consultation. He's a really good guy. 248-663-4600. 4748, or you can just click on the link on the website and send them a message that you want to meet up.
And when you call Luke, he makes it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
And after you talk to Luke, why not call Hall First? That's callhallfirst.com for Hall Financial. More finance advice for you. They had a lot of things going on. It's not just about refinancing. You can get money out of your house because home values have just skyrocketed, so you can give them a call for their cash out refinances. You can put it back into your house. Or if you're getting ready to buy a house, they have the Buy Smart program that's going to help buyers with a down payment assistant. You can receive credit towards your down payment, better interest than a standard loan, reduced mortgage insurance for a first-time home buyer. That's the Buy Smart program. Talk to Hall Financial right now about all these programs they have going on. 866-CALL-HALL, or you can chat with them online at callhallfirst.com.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
So normally, as you've heard Shawn mention, showing how we cut the woman in half, that I will have some notes on Geek of the Week, but I can't do that this week because this situation is so fluid and we have so many geeks. And I'm speaking to the Michigan State Board of Trustees who...
please explain this to me.
And I wish I could. In fact, since we went live, which if you're watching us on YouTube, thanks very much. Don't forget to like. And
do you have a live update?
But no, that's what I'm saying. I haven't looked at the news for an hour, so it may have changed because between Sunday night and today, we had members of the Board of Trustees who wanted the president to resign by Tuesday. Then we had the president of the Board of Trustees saying that the rest of the trustees were getting ahead of themselves and we need to stand behind the president. We need to figure out what's going on. We've seen reports that the Board of Trustees may have hired independent law firms to investigate how the president's handled certain matters. And it's a confusing and a confounding situation and exactly what we don't need in this state, particularly in East Lansing, where we've had 3 presidents now in the last 5 years or so. And after the mess we just had in Ann Arbor, getting a Schlissel out of there, I mean, this is not instilling confidence in our public universities. But I'm not saying that they're geeks because they are undermining confidence in our universities. If our universities are not performing well, if they're not worthy of our trust, they shouldn't be trusted. But this is the kind of thing where you would think that the board would have a good idea what they want to do. They would have a notion of what's happening. They should be able to convey that to us because there's this little thing that we hear about in public officials' lexicon all the time that doesn't really seem to mean what they think it means, and that's the word transparency. These universities, particularly our major universities, have gone to the legislature to get permission to basically figure out who's running the university and how they're running it behind closed doors, which is outrageous because these are multi-billion-dollar, publicly funded universities with whom we entrust our most precious resources, which is our children, and they don't want to give us any idea what they're doing, and they can't even plausibly tell us anymore, don't worry about it because we know what we're doing, because they don't. Because they let the Nassar stuff go on too far. Bo Schembechler's statue is still standing there in Ann Arbor. They've let these creeps run wild on campuses. Come on.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, they want the president out because he fired the dean of the business school, Sanjay Gupta, the president, Samuel Stanley, over a Title IX investigation. But when you look a little deeper, you don't know exactly what they think the president did wrong, and now it's about a signature. So I feel like they might not just like him, and they're looking for a reason to get rid of him.
Yeah, I mean, and as far as I can tell from the reporting, it's not that Gupta did something wrong, but maybe he didn't handle these reports properly. Yeah. So that leads me to believe that the faculty would be very concerned about this guy. But now the faculty senate is saying, why are you trying to fire the president? We don't know what's going on. So now you have the administration not talking to the faculty representatives. I mean, it doesn't seem like anybody's talking to the people who deserve to be spoken to. They're just kind of muttering amongst themselves and issuing these draconian pronouncements that, resign or be fired, but then they say, well, maybe don't.
It's really weird.
Yeah. So what's going on? I mean, I was in East Lansing this week, and I have no idea what's going on. I follow this stuff real closely, and I'm confused. And as someone who puts a lot of money into the university through tuition, and all of us who are residents of the state of Michigan are putting a lot of money into the university.
Did you see his response?
Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
When his kids are going to college, he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But we're all taxpayers. All of our money supports these universities, and we're entitled. We deserve to be in the loop. But so far, the only thing that we've been able to see from the elected leadership at Michigan State in this case is that they don't know what they're doing. And so I think I'm putting it incredibly mildly when I say that they are our Geeks of the Week.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
So Queen Elizabeth II is no longer with us after 96 years.
What? She died?
Shed.
No one's
this
covering it. I had no
mortal
idea.
Coil. Justin Trudeau has lost one of his best friends in the country and the leader of his government. Yeah, I'm like, skinny jeans hanging out with Corgi lady? That seems
He's known her for a long time.
Kind of freaky.
Because of Daddy.
Yes, he's known her for his entire life, which amounted to about 10% of her life. But somebody sent me a clip of Robert Smith from The Cure. It's a great little clip where he's basically saying, the monarchy is ridiculous, or, there's nobody meritus, and then they decide whether they're going to give you, a title. And if anybody offered me a title, I'd tell them the whole thing is ridiculous. And so I think the new wave community is not feeling quite as choked up as the rest of the world.
I think there's a fair amount of the world that's not.
Yeah, it's
a lineage from a feudalist system. I mean, that's an ugly, ugly way we ran this world for a long, long time.
Yeah, but not when she's been alive.
No,
she's a mascot for that country, and I read her really because
there's celebrities that live off the dole, basically, right? I mean,
yeah, but you know what?
Kardashians by birth.
They bring
in, that's exactly right.
They bring in more money for that country than they take.
Yeah.
Because I always thought it was dumb too until I saw how much money from tourism and from all the crap they sell.
Here's my guess, and
it brings in a lot of money. They're
not my guess.
mascots.
Here's my question: would people still go to London if it weren't for Buckingham Palace?
Yes,
sure.
Because I think they would.
They have pubs. Yes, I would still go.
Sure, but there is still a romantic thinking about it in general.
That's a very, very to think of it as romantic. You have to be very narrow in that view, right?
Well, the other thing is, as this great
everybody likes a king and queen and princess stories.
We do. We love them. We love the Kennedys.
There you go, the Kennedys. It's a story, and they bring a lot of money in. Now, the other interesting thing, because I do think the reaction was a lot more than I never thought the NFL would do a moment of silence. She is technically a head of state. But then I read something which I thought was really intriguing, and it's something they have there because of the royals that we don't, and it's a common bond that represents the whole country. So the whole country goes, not the whole, but the majority of the country goes, she is our representative. She is the glue, the constant for 70 years when she reigned. Let's put aside our differences to celebrate our country.
Wasn't our country formed, though, to break away from this kingdom? I mean, and now...
Yeah.
Well, here... No,
it'd be like folks in London coming to see our plantations because they're pretty on the outside.
Well, don't forget, Great Britain was very supportive of the South.
No, of course they were. I mean,
they wanted the cotton.
But of course they were. I mean, it's complicated.
But the reason we had the revolution is not because we didn't want to be a part of the United Kingdom anymore. It's because we're being taxed without representation. If they'd knocked that shit off, we might still have King George on all our coins. Crazy bastard that he was. But the one so the thing about the royal family that I think is intriguing is if you're born into it, it's almost like a velvet coffin where you have no say in it. It's really hard to get out of it. And then you're kind of limited, but you're really comfortable.
Sure.
You know? So if you don't have that much ambition and you like to be fawned on and pampered, it's a pretty cool gig. But if you're that kind of person, you're probably going to screw up because, you know, you're douchey. And I guess you could be from a douchey, which is some very clever language.
Yeah, that was
relating to royal families, but which Shawn will figure out on the way and be like, damn. But or maybe he'll look it up. But the thing is,
no. I'm from car salesman in Texas.
The Queen has been.
How many times do I have to say that?
I thought you were a fighter pilot. You're a chameleon, or you like to say a chamelon.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
believing
he's
Stick to the Queen.
He's making a joke about my last name.
No, but the
Windsor.
but the Queen has been
big
able
douchey.
to be, and the royal family has been able to be a rallying point for certain things, like during World War II when they stayed in London when they were being bombed, and when the Queen went to Ireland after I think it was after the Good Friday Accords, and laid a wreath at the cemetery for some of the Irish Republicans who had been killed. She was, you know, dingbatty hatted old broad that she was, able to really bring about some positive. I mean, it's crazy that the royal family in any way can contribute, because as this great music critic once said, they're really just a bunch of ugly old Germans.
Yeah, they are.
You know,
They are.
And there are rulers. I mean, even to the point
they're
where
a living symbol of that country, right? So of course there's going to be issues with them.
But a lot of young folks over there don't believe in the monarchy at all. Kind of your point about the cures.
But I think as they get older, they start to become a little sentimental. You know, I mean, they're corgis, is what they are.
In the same way, you
corgis.
grow up in a small town and you want out of that town and you get sentimental about that town, but you don't want to go back.
That could be true, and maybe people are going to bail. Anyway, there's no way that we can have a new wave music segment and not play the Smiths' "The Queen is Dead."
Hemmed in like a bow between arches. Her very learners with a head in a sling. I'm truly sorry, but it sounds like a wonderful thing. I say, Charles, don't you ever crave to appear on the front of the Daily Mail, the rest in your mother's bridal veil. So I checked all the registered historical facts, and I was shocked into shame to discover how I'm the 18th pale descendant of some old queen or other. Oh, has the world changed or have I changed? Oh, has the world changed or have I changed? Some 9-year-old chap who peddles drugs, I swear to God, I swear, never even knew what drugs were. To the palace with a sponge and a rusty spanner. She said, I know you and you cannot sing. I said, that's nothing, you should hear me play piano. We can go for a walk where it's quiet and dry and talk about precious things. But when you're tied to your mother's apron, no one talks about castration. Talk about precious things like love and law and
So while we may be a bit obvious with that selection, you can never go wrong with a song that says, "So I broke into the palace with a sponge and a rusty spanner. She said, 'I know you and you cannot sing.' I said, 'That's nothing. You should hear me play piano.'"
Yeah, that's lovely. We should have cut the song 3 minutes ago and recorded what Teresa and Mark were just talking about.
And that was based on a real incident where somebody broke into Buckingham Palace and disturbed the Queen, and she was able to defuse the situation.
With a lot of punk,
What a great honor.
punk songs about the Queen too, right? I mean, that was part of the punk.
Yeah, no,
movement.
we could have
Push her
played the
back on the
Sex
monarchy,
Pistols,
yeah.
but that was a little pre-new wave. So
Yeah.
But
you hated it, didn't you?
No, no.
This was about the monarchy.
No, I heard the Smiths on Mike and Teresa's balcony several years ago at a yard beer party, and yeah, that was good.
That was enough.
I'm good.
Yeah, you had your fill.
I'm
You
good.
had your fill at ML's party.
I guess
a year is about all I can take.
There you go. Thank you, Teresa.
Depressing and dark, and I can't stand what's his face.
That's not helpful.
The-
You're a very hateful person. You
I
gotta
am a
narrow it
hateful
down.
person. No, the lead singer of this. What's his
Morrissey.
name? Morrissey.
He's a very positive guy.
I went to his concert with Mike, and I was listening to it, and his closer at the end, he went dark. The place went completely dark, and I think it was about suicide. He pretended to kill himself on stage.
No,
it
there
was
was,
disgusting. I'll never go see him
There was
again.
an image of he played Back in the Chain. He covered Back in the Chain Gang by the Pretenders, and then when he walked off stage, the multimedia, the video screen had somebody shooting a gun. It looked like he was shooting a gun into his own head.
But we would never play the Pretenders on this show, though.
I think we have played the Pretenders.
Wait.
Huh?
Yeah.
Have?
Yeah.
And of
sorry.
course,
I'm sorry.
Of course, you're always welcome to suggest
sorry.
something if you'd like. We
Yeah,
can always, a little
the Talking Heads.
participation. We have played the Talking Heads.
And you hated it.
I think it was the name of this boring song is
Yeah.
by the Talking Heads. But
I'm so sorry.
so next week we're going to start our Dave Matthews
Psycho
month.
Killer.
Oh, God.
No, thank you.
No,
Why? Who's the
crash into me.
Wait.
Huh?
Is that Teresa's favorite band?
No, I'm not a Dave Matthews fan, but he likes to make fun of Dave Matthews fans.
Good, I do too. They're awful.
You know who Suzette Hackney? You guys remember?
Yeah, I thought of her right away.
She was is a huge Dave Matthews.
Yeah.
And when she finally met him, and
Drank too much. Drank too much. Too much.
former Free Press reporter for those of you.
Columnist
out
for
there
USA Today.
Yeah.
My favorite Dave Matthews story is when 105.1 was an alternative station for like 3 months. I don't know. Does anybody remember that? That would have been.
Was that before they became the Bounce?
99. That was before.
Oh, that was before
it
they
became
were
Magic.
all sports radio. Yeah.
Before sports, before Magic. So they used to have these sessions where artists would come in and play for a small collection of fans. And it's crazy. One of Dave Matthews' stalkers got into the event, and it was not cool. It was a huge issue. You also weren't allowed to look at him too.
You were there?
What?
Uh-huh.
Did you flash your calves and just say stay away?
No, I walked by because it was in the conference room, and I went, "That's Dave Matthews playing," and kept walking.
They said no eye contact.
I'm totally spoiled. Yeah, you weren't allowed to look him in the eye. I don't know. I might have made that part up
Oh, okay.
because I don't like him.
Do you ever turn around in the mirror and flex him like Arnold?
Will you stop? I notice I wore pants today.
Like a
'cause
young Arnold?
Not a piece of meat.
I worked as a
He
beer
looks more
man
buff.
at a Dave
does.
Matthews concert, and the only thing I'll say for Dave Matthews is he
He's
played
not that
a long show.
Yeah,
People who went
yeah.
got their money's worth.
That's saying something coming from you.
There's probably 4 songs, but
Yeah.
it was probably 5 hours.
Yeah, I'm not a big Bruce fan. I'm not a big Dave Matthews fan.
Not a Bruce guy either.
But if people are going to
We're
pay,
anti-American, apparently.
if people are going to play for 3.5 hours, I'll give them something. I'll give them.
Did you like John Cougar Mellencamp?
I like some of his stuff.
We saw Blondie.
I think
2
I
weeks
liked
ago.
him better when he
Oh,
was
yeah.
John Cougar than when he was John Mellencamp.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, earlier on, which I don't think he liked.
Yeah, just curious.
When he felt
Why, do
guilty
you
about
not?
being a rock star who married models and then just decided, hell, I'm a rock star.
I don't know, the whole pitchfork, American flag, throwing baling hay. I don't know. Bandana out of the back of the jeans. I know I'm mixing up Springsteen.
What are you
and-
talking
no,
about?
No,
there,
no,
but-
you're right. Mellencamp.
What are you
Yeah,
talking
it's
about?
just, it's
Same
just
vibe.
Shawn doesn't feel he's
it's
authentic.
that kind of. I'm not questioning
Ford
that so
pickup
much.
commercial during the
What's wrong
Super
with
Bowl.
that?
We don't know. Is it Mellencamp? Is it Bruce Springsteen?
Yeah, you see
Yeah.
the pickup. Yeah,
What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's just not our thing.
I don't like Bruce
So you know what
at all,
hates?
but
You know what
because of the
Shawn
let me
because
hates?
rephrase it. I don't
because
like
of
his
the music.
music. I kind of appreciate what he tries to do outside of that.
I agree with. No, I'm similar.
Even though I don't agree with a lot of.
Well, Jon Stewart's line when he got inducted into or not inducted, but had the Kennedy Center honors. Jon Stewart got up and said he was the child of Bob Dylan and I can't remember. Sorry, this is terrible. It was a great line, and I've just forgotten it.
Jon Stewart.
I just blew it.
Was he the host or?
Oh, but he got okay. I just remember he and I never understood this. He thought he made a joke that Bob Dylan and James Brown had a baby, and that baby is Bruce Springsteen. I don't know that he has the oomph of either one of those guys. So, but a lot of people think he does. So more power.
He's
to him.
likable. I like him.
He's an interesting guy. I don't like.
But he doesn't have any kind of funk and soul of Brown.
Oh,
and
well, I mean, he had Clarence for a long time. There's a lot. There's more soul in that music.
In the music,
I think there's more than you realize, my man. I've been
Bob
subjected
Dylan?
to a lot. I don't. I don't like Dylan. I don't know why. I don't like his voice.
What's he saying?
Yeah.
It's just that I like his writing. I think his writing's good. It's just not my cup of tea. That's fine.
Speaking of tea, let's get back to new wave music. We always appreciate your suggestions for great new wave bands who have tunes we haven't heard before but should, or great bands that we haven't heard before.
I'm sorry, we were having a music discussion.
Is that what you do? I couldn't tell. I thought you were trying to remember what Jon Stewart said.
And I finally did.
He's the son of...
Saved the listeners from another story of yours, but that's okay.
So what would the son of Bob Dylan and James Brown say? I live in America. Hit me.
That was getting really big.
Yeah. I'm in a small town in America.
See what you did? See what you did, Shawn? You gave him a window to perform, to workshop.
No, but this is
an improv.
What's crazy is I'm laughing.
I
I've
know,
known him for 30 years, and I still laugh.
I love it when he workshops. That's my favorite.
Meanwhile, Brian and Mike are like, can we get our donations back?
Too late.
So can we do a stop payment on that check?
I love it. I love it when he workshops.
It was all Bitcoin, so it's already you can have it back at its current value, so it may as well amount to nothing. So speaking of amounting to nothing,
wait a second. One more thing. Did you say I was subjected to a lot?
Huh?
He did. It was funny.
You said I was subjected to a lot.
No, what are you talking about? No, I said I've been subjected to his music.
No, you told him he
crazy.
Because I couldn't hear the funk in Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Good point.
And there's a line in his song that makes no sense. You can be yourself in a small town where people let you be just what you want to be. That's totally not true. In a small town, everybody pays attention to everything you're doing.
And you can't be who you want to be at all. People leave small towns to be themselves.
Exactly.
You can be who you want to be. You used to have an incredible strength of character.
If you're hanging out sitting in a combine in the barn by yourself.
No, people go to big cities or to big universities to be who they want to be. You can't be who you want to be in a small town. He's wrong on that.
I grew up in a fairly small town, and the people who I remember the most and I really admired were the people who were themselves, and they were nonconformist, and I'm sure they felt a little isolated, but they were themselves.
Yeah,
They're
but
the
people
bravest people I've ever known.
But that's because they were strong. People don't let you just be who you want to be in a small town. They will fight you on it. They will mock you. They will tease you. They will make you feel different. It takes a strong person to be who they want to be in a small town.
Shit, do we have?
I'm so glad I came today.
Does our employee assistance program and cover?
Will you come
therapy?
more often?
I know this is fun.
I know. I would love it if you come. And even Mark's slightly,
ML seems differently behaved when you're here.
Mark, can I come back?
I'm worried about Mother being here. I know.
Mother.
Next time, yes.
Mother.
Next time, Mark will wear shorts.
We pray together when we eat Mother and I.
Right, Mark?
Mother. No, not around you.
You'll wear shorts next time?
You creep.
We do have some correspondence.
Oh, we do? Okay.
Yes. If you'd like to donate, we'd appreciate it. Please make a generous or even a meager donation.
Is this a cold read by Shawn?
At mlsoulofdetroit.com, where you can find everything about the show. You can also send us your feedback at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. We have some feedback. I'm going to start with a note from Jennifer who says, "My Lord, what a shit show. I know you're an alumnus. Your kids are legacies, and you even own investment property there, but I don't think there's a place more backwater and good old boy incestuous and corrupt than she wrote East Lansing. And there's not even a newspaper in that region to keep an eye on those crooks. And EL falls outside of the Detroit newsroom's orbit. Carte blanche to do whatever they want for the most part. Over 50,000 students, $3.2 billion budget, $100 million football coach, and endless cronyism and corruption. I cherish my time there, but I would never send our kids there, and we haven't donated since the Nassar scandal broke. We never will again. The older I get, the more I realize these gigantic universities are just cash register fiefdoms for unethical sleazebags, higher ed bureaucrats.
Yep.
Now, after Jennifer vented that spleen, she followed up with, maybe on Tuesday you can discuss how, if ever, the drama will cease at state. Clearly not enough heads rolled after Nassar, nor did the institutional cancer get cut out. Plodding along, shuffling a few administrators around, clearly don't do anything to change the institutional rot. P.S. Jesse is a machine. I think she means David Jesse, our superlative higher education reporter. So where do we start? First of all,
oh, you have to comment on that? I think you're just.
Well,
reading.
first of all, there's some things we need to engage on.
Even Teresa's looking at her phone.
We call that windsoring. But that's behind the scenes inside baseball
what's that?
talk.
Wait, what's
but,
that?
Angry person.
But East Lansing, the Free Press, through the Lansing State Journal, which is part of our network, does cover East Lansing and what's going on there pretty closely. Our higher education reporter does do a lot of work there. And there's the State News, the student newspaper that does some really good work. So if you want to know what's happening on campus, it's good to keep up with the State News. You can follow them on social media and check out their website. There is a lot going on there. There is a lot of trouble there. Jennifer hits on a lot of points that are fair points, which we talked about. But I continue to be involved because I'm afraid that if people like Jennifer, who really have a good head on her shoulders and a strong heart, walk away, then we leave this important place to the folks who don't have the higher intentions. We leave this to the people who are making the mistakes. Good people need to be involved in institutions that have flaws so that we can ferret them out, so that we can bring about change, and so that we can let the people who are there know that there are people who care and do want to see things get better. And here's the other part, which I hate to say, not because I'm a Spartan. This shit goes on at almost every major institution in the world and at a lot of our major academic institutions. The Nassar scandal, which isn't to diminish it at all. We've seen other offshoots have it. You know, Dr. Anderson at Michigan, what was going on at USC, what was going on at Ohio State with the wrestling coach. These predators are everywhere. And if people like Jennifer think there's a better place or they want to walk away from a place where they've got some sort of investment, these weeds will continue to grow and flourish. So Jennifer, I don't blame you for keeping your donations in your pocket, but please keep these folks accountable and let them know that you care and that you're not going to let them get away with it, because if we walk away, then we leave it to the bad guys. And if I was one of these board of trustee candidates with all this controversy right now, if I was a challenger, I'd be like, thank you very much, incumbents, because you've just sent a message to everybody in the state of Michigan that if you vote for new guys, you probably can't do any worse.
Is that the end of the letter you're reading?
30.
By the way, the quote you said, what'd you say? Something heart?
Wait, what was that?
Is it a sponge and a rusty spanner?
I don't know, but I love listening to you try to find quotes.
Oh, yeah. No, he said something about heart. I thought he was trying to quote Jim Harbaugh. I thought the phrase was pure heart, he likes to say. I know you like to quote Harbaugh.
I just had some Gatorade on my cornflakes this morning.
Yeah. Don't eat chickens.
Oh, yeah. Somebody was mentioning that to me. Yeah, because you are what you eat.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
And chickens are unsettled, a little chaotic, so, he didn't want his players to eat chicken.
My Lord. How stupid.
That's actually a true story.
It's pretty dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. Shawn, do you have anything to read?
I can't believe you want me to read this.
This is a Facebook comment, I think, on our show.
Yeah, this is from Mike Elric to Mike Elric.
No, I forwarded somebody's email so I could print it out.
I know, but I wanted to make it sound like you'd written this, but thank you.
Your mendacity is staggering.
Really? Well,
it's words I never understand.
I know.
Disingenuous Montebank. Go ahead.
No, it's not. I'm being pretty clear and obvious. Anyway, well, maybe I'm not, as far as I know. Facebook.
As far as he knows. Now Shawn's in on his own joke. The arc of history turns towards mirth.
Oh, my goodness. Wow, they write, whoever this is. It's a Facebook comment, I guess. Wow, it seems that you are a very kind person because I read all your posts, although we do not know each other, but I can feel your gentleman and kindness. Gentlemanliness, maybe, and kindness. If there's a chance, I hope to discuss life with you.
I imagine if you respond to that link, there'd be some photos there that might not be safe for work. But Shawn fan club growing every week.
Take a win where you can get.
No, that wasn't for me. That was for you.
It was not addressed to any particular member.
It says too, Mr. Elric. Mr. spells it out.
I think they just don't know how to spell Windsor.
Okay. Yeah.
Mark, did you ever find that other one we're looking for?
I'm going to save it for next week.
For next week,
It's
okay.
so long.
I can't hear you. Sorry.
It's definitely for you.
Yes, absolutely.
No, I think it's from Mike.
Stick to the facts.
No, you're kind and gentlemanly.
I think I already answered your question.
Actually, he can be kind.
Well, of course he can.
And he can be gentlemanly.
I find him quite chivalrous.
But they're not the two adjectives I would pull out of a hat to describe.
What would you say?
Not
Handsome?
the first two. Yeah.
Handsome?
Definitely handsome, for sure.
Very handsome.
But if somebody asks if he's cantankerous for sure. Edgy.
Tall.
He's edgy.
He's tall.
He's witty.
He's tall.
He's tall.
He's actually 6'5". He appears 6'2", but if he stands up straight, he's 6'5", so that's nice.
Cyrus!
I'm 5 feet tall. He's tall.
I'm rereading Jennifer's email when she says, "My Lord, what a shit show." I'm not sure what she's referring to. I assumed initially it was Michigan State University, but everything is being viewed in a new light.
What is Mark going to read?
I told. Thanks for listening. I'm going to read it next week.
Mark is too
really,
busy.
It's really long, and it's going to take another hour to go through.
He's too busy.
You can't do it?
It's the same one I was going to read last week.
He's too busy what, Mike?
He's too busy crafting his resignation letters. Like, get me out of here.
Can I jump in and say something?
Yes, please do. Stop
as we're talking about the scandal, listen to this woman say, "I'm not setting."
You do need to ask permission because everybody on this show is so deferential. Nobody just does what the hell they want to do.
Well, no, I know I was invited on to talk about my stories, but I love these conversations, so I want to jump in. What I find interesting is, so this woman says, "I'm not going to send my kids there. I'm pulling all my money out of Michigan State." I remember when the news first broke about Nassar, everyone, oh, there goes MSU's reputation. There goes this, there goes that. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, you know what? I'll bet MSU's incoming freshman class is going to be larger than ever before. I bet you their applications to get in are going to go up, and they have. I think everybody has short attention spans. Whatever's the news of the moment. Nassar was terrible. Don't get me wrong. It's disgusting. I was pissed as hell that my alma mater let that piece of shit stay there and get away with it.
People understand nuance and subtlety. They don't hold a handful of people responsible for the other 10,000 people that work there.
Exactly.
Not to mention the 40,000 students.
That's my bigger point.
I mean, Mark might.
And people have a right to do whatever they want. That is their right. But you certainly can't hold an entire university, like you said, 10,000 people who work there responsible because of Nassar and because a handful of people let them get away with it. Now, it's just like, wanting to leave our country.
There were a lot of people on that chain of ignominy. I don't think it was just a few.
Well, okay, a lot. Let's say there were 100. Let's say
out of 5,000. Yeah, the ratio is on people. Something people understand.
And I don't think people care as much as we think they do. And we're in the news business. We think everybody cares so deeply about everything we write about and all the issues out there.
Well, of course they care, but they're not going to associate that with a physics professor and say, "I'm not going to send my kid there."
Sure, I think a lot of people care. I think it's more, are you going to make changes and adhere to them going forward? Every major institution, not just universities, but any institution that exists that are that large are going to have some problems. And when those problems arise, be transparent about them, don't cover it up, and make changes.
Right. I agree with everything.
That is where Michigan State failed. That is, Michigan failed recently with the way the athletic department and Ward Manuel handled the first accusations against Anderson, and they fail, and you got to fix it and go forward, and people are forgiving. Doesn't mean that the institution is overall a negative or bad.
No, true.
The only thing I would add is that when somebody says, "I'm not going to send any more donations," I always went, "Did you ever send any before?" Because we used to have people at the Free Press. We had you could deduct a portion of your payroll for the United Way and say, "I don't like that we only favor the United Way." I said, "Well, then why don't you donate to another charity?" And they'd be like, "You weren't going to donate to anybody anyway." But yeah, no. When the good people leave, it's only the shitbags who are left.
Yep. And on that note,
and actually, Shawn always leaves first. Is he suggesting that we're shitbags?
Yeah.
I think that
no, he won't say anything.
The solemnity of the moment has staggered him.
Another. That's a good word.
Which is a good time to remind people that there are some other quality listening options here on the Red Shovel Network. There's I guess we're not going to have the the Belvin and Charlotte show ready quite yet. It'll be on right after the Gary Graff show. But we do have the Drew and Mike show every day. Mm-hmm. And I think, is tomorrow Eli?
He was on yesterday.
Was he on? Damn, you guys.
Sunday. Sorry,
you keep moving him around. I like hearing Eli on.
Very cranky.
And, well, of course. And then there's the Charlie the Duff No BS News. Is that twice a week now, or is it still just once a week?
It will be soon.
Okay, so
Am I
there's
letting
lots.
the cat out of the bag? Is that public knowledge yet? I don't know.
I don't know, but I think everybody wants more Charlie. They keep saying, you guys go for like an hour and a half. Could you go like for 15 minutes and give that other time to Charlie? It doesn't really work that way. But we appreciate your support at any rate. And until next week, when I think we may have Herschel Fink's daughter, Sherry Fink, the author, Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter, who wrote the book that turned into the series 5 Days at Memorial.
Yeah, great show.
If she's not on next week, she'll be on very soon. So tune in next week and find out. And until then, Cyrus, take us out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Now, here's important news on good grooming. If you want the well-groomed look that helps you get ahead socially and on the job, listen. Recently, thousands of people from coast to coast who bought Wild Root Cream Oil for the first time were asked, how does Wild Root Cream Oil compare with the hair tonic you previously used? The results were amazing. Better than 4 out of 5 who replied said they preferred Wild Root Cream Oil.
And the 5th was Shawn Windsor.
Remember, non-alcoholic Wild Root Cream Oil contains lanolin. It grooms the hair naturally, relieves dryness, and removes loose, ugly dandruff. So if you want your hair to be more attractive than ever before, get the generous new 25-cent size of Wild Root Cream Oil, America's leading hair tonic, on sale at all drug and toilet goods counters.